What's up, homies? What's up, homies? What's up, homies? Welcome to the Knowledgeable Homeowner Podcast. We pick the brains of industry pros to unlock the trade secrets of homeownership. Our mission is simple: to turn everyday people into knowledgeable homeowners. What's up, homies? I'm Sturdy Joe, and this is the Knowledgeable Homeowner Podcast. Today I have on Mike Vissicchio, the owner and operator of Strong Island Cesspools. What's up, man?
What's going on, Joe?
Good.
How we doing?
Welcome to the barn.
Well, glad you guys have me here.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish you would have pulled up with the excavator, and we could have thrown a little ring in the back. And
should have brought the pump truck
dude,
here.
I want to throw a cesspool back here because I have woods in the back. So like when we're hanging out in here, it's kind of annoying to have to run into the woods. My wife don't let us go inside, so maybe we throw a little ring back here.
Hey, whenever you guys want, let me know.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want you to take a second. Tell me about yourself. Introduce yourself. Tell us about how Strong Island got started, how you got into the cesspool business, because one of the reasons I like working with you is because I feel like you're unique in this business. You're a young, well-spoken guy. You're very knowledgeable on it. How did we get here?
So pretty much how we got here was I was in high school. One of my friends' dads owned a company, still does. They posted on like one of the social media platforms back in the day looking for help.
Yeah.
I messaged him. I was like, listen, I'm not really doing too much right now. I was 18, 19, I think at the time. And messaged him saying, I'm interested in working. He said, all right, come down. I came down there, started working there. Actually, was good friends with him, like I said. So we worked together.
So it was your buddy's dad's company?
Correct, yeah.
And so you and your buddy were working together?
Yeah.
And you guys were friendly or actual friends? Like
we were like acquaintances. We knew each other, passing by. We always said what's up. We never had,
So like cool with each other, but
Exactly.
But still, working with friends is dope.
Yeah, people we know, yeah. So I wasn't hanging out with them every single day outside of school, things like that.
Yeah.
But we always knew about each other. We talked. We had cars in common, so we always,
cars
clicked with that. Yeah, like cars.
What type of car?
Nothing crazy. He always had a Prowler, that little old like a silver one or something.
The Plymouth
like
Prowler?
Yeah.
Dude,
he had one of those.
It was so
rare.
So funny because we're the same age. It's like 2003, and that thing was the ugliest thing on the road. I was obsessed with the Plymouth Prowler
because they're just so rare.
When you see them on the road, you're like, wow, that thing's pretty cool. Car, and I wanted. Yeah, my family, they all love cars. Like they're not gearheads. They're just like car hobbyists. Like we go to the New York Auto Show every year.
Okay.
So my brothers are like obsessed with like classic cars, Camaros, all this stuff. And I was like, I want a Plymouth Prowler. They're like, it's slow and heavy. So did you have one too?
No, I'm more of like a tuner type car, like the European cars, stuff like that. But we always just clicked on talking like that. So
nice.
Long story short is, I started working there for quite a little bit. Got in the pump truck, started driving that around, going out meeting different customers, doing different things every single day because it's never the same thing every time we show up.
Every house is a different thing.
And then pretty much when I got in that truck going around, I pretty much said to myself, I want to have one of these trucks. I want to do this.
Yeah.
So I worked there for about 6 years. And then he opened up his own company, worked there for about a year to 2 years, and then, bought my own truck. And it was my time to get my own stuff a truck. So I did that, and
now we're here.
Here we are.
Rocking and rolling. It's been a few years now because I've known you for a few years, and you were up and running before then too.
Yeah, so this is March will be 4 years.
Nice, dude. So, congratulations. You made it over the hump. And so
yeah.
you had your first pump truck. And did you just get another one, or?
I just got my second one on the road last month.
And you have two on the road, or did you can the other one?
No, two on the road.
Damn.
On the road. Yeah. Once you get a little bit more active, and customers start calling you more. If one of those trucks go down, that's your bread and butter.
You're losing. You're not getting paid. And you're losing that client too.
Exactly. You need to make sure you have something that if someone calls you, you always have something that you can get there and help them out.
So you bought the first truck used, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And now this one you bought new.
No, this one's used. This one's used also.
Responsible.
The new trucks, honestly, they have the pre-D emissions.
Oh, the DF stuff.
Everything about them is
so
horrible.
You're pre-DF.
Pre-DF.
Good man. I have some friends in heavy construction that they're still holding on, man.
The old companies I work for, they got the new trucks. They have pre-DF, the brand new Peterbilt trucks. They've been in the shop since they bought them for over 6 months right now. Because once you have the warranty on them, they just shouldn't. They don't care. They're going to get paid no matter what. So they don't care if you're losing money while your truck payment's still there.
100%.
They don't care about that.
My dad does. So. He's a logistics guy, and he runs a fleet, and they have a DEF tank at the location, and they're just always breaking down. But it kind of is what it is. All right, so we're on our second truck.
Yep.
That's sick. 4 years in. Now getting started on your own in the cesspool world, is it just a book of business and a cesspool truck and you can go out and sell, or do you got to get like a certification?
No, so pretty much you actually need to work for a company on the books for 5 years to even apply for a license.
Okay. So there's a cesspool license.
Yeah, there's a liquid waste license.
Liquid waste license. Is that through like the DEC or something, or just regular license?
Consumer Affairs.
Okay.
Through there first, but then you got to.
Is that New York State or is that Suffolk County?
I think it goes through. It's in Albany, so I'm assuming.
It's probably state. Yeah.
But yeah, you got to get DEC
Yeah, because
permits
like
and
some
stuff
of the
like that as
contractors
well.
got to get licensed in every town.
Exactly. Yeah,
I had to be licensed in the state. So
you do need to get one for Nassau and Suffolk, the 2 separate ones as
Okay.
well. So yeah, I mean,
So it's 5 years of work on the books,
5 years of work on the books.
a truck.
Then you need to buy the truck first.
Oh, so your truck
you
has
have
to get licensed too? Like
just, no, you need to just buy the pump truck
Okay.
and take pictures of it and prove, I guess, that you really got to go. You really got to go for it.
Yeah.
Because if you buy the truck, you do all the
so
applications.
getting the truck is part of the application process.
Yeah, exactly. So if you go all the way, you try, and you get denied, and you have all that, you have the truck and everything. Unlucky. So if you want to go do it, make sure you're going to do it. Make sure you do it right, and you have to go through an interview with all the board members.
Yeah.
So you just got to make sure that you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And they want to make sure you're not going around and going to screw other people that are in the business, because there is a bad rep sometimes in this business, because there is a lot of different things that you could do, either illegally or to screw the homeowner.
There's rules you got to follow. Yeah,
Exactly,
you can screw over the homeowner. You can screw over the Great South Bay. It's become. It's so
Exactly,
funny
yeah.
because like I feel like people think of cesspools as an old thing. It's actually more pressing now than ever.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to save the water. You have the septic tank. You have the IA system. The IA system thing's crazy.
So it's,
yeah. I mean,
don't even get me started on that thing.
yeah, yeah. But so you get your certification, you get your book of business. Now you took the jump to go work on your own. Is that like in your family? Is anyone in your family in business, or were you the knucklehead who said like, yeah, I'm going out on my own? Like,
as far as working with your hands in this type of industry, yeah, I'm the first to do it. My dad is a businessman. He owns an advertising business.
oh, cool.
So he does.
So
that stuff.
entrepreneurship is in the background. Like you
he's-
could ask him some advice about, but it's a different world, obviously.
a whole
But
different, yeah.
he works for himself. You saw him getting it for himself, and
100%.
that was definitely when you were going out and doing it for somebody else. You were like, you know what, this is kind of
Just why can't I do it? Why can't I be the one
100%.
to do it myself compared to working for somebody else?
Yeah, especially when you're facing clients every day, which is one of the more difficult things to do. Is you got to be rough enough to do the work. The work isn't pretty.
Yeah, no.
But you also have to be normal enough to have conversations with people.
Yeah. Me going around to different houses, me and different people, I've got questions multiple times. Am I the owner of the company? When I was working for the company, I was like, no. So it's about that mind, like,
Not yet.
Maybe, not yet. Like, why can't if people are asking me I must be doing something right to prove that I can be one.
Yeah.
So like eventually down the line, I knew right away once I got in the pump truck, like I said. But
This is it. Yeah.
this was just had to wait a little bit more time. I was still young,
Yeah, of course, it's scary. Going on your own is
myself a little bit
scary.
more,
You gotta, you're spending money on stuff. Maybe having fun with
shouldn't.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so and I mean, I'm sure the pump truck wasn't $1,000, so you had to pay some real money, and there's maintenance that goes into it, and all that nonsense. So you get started. You're dealing with a ton of clients. Now, what services, because cesspool and drain, I feel like is a pretty vague term.
Yeah.
What services does you and like the average cesspool and drain company encompass?
So if you want to be competitive, you have to pretty much do everything.
Yeah.
So we do pumping, we do maintenance, restaurants, grease trap cleaning. We do drain cleaning, like if the your sink's backing up.
Oh, okay. So drain work inside the house. Like if you have a
drain work
clog,
inside, exactly.
you'll clear a clog.
Clog in the house, sink, showers, main line stoppage, sewers. We do full installations as well. Where we take the old cinder block pools, we put the new ones in precast.
Is the average cesspool company will install a cesspool tool? It's not just service. Like your average cesspool company will do installs, or is that a little bit more specialty? Because I'm sure like the fancy systems are more of a specialty.
Yeah,
but like your regular cesspool company could throw a cesspool ring in.
Exactly, yeah. Do all of them do it? No, a lot of them just stick to the service work, and they'll get the installation, but they'll either sub it out to another company to actually do the installs for them, or whatever how they work it out. But odds are no one's going to probably turn down an installation if they had to give it to them.
Yeah.
So they'll just pass it off to another company that they're really close to.
Yeah,
or
get a little
trust.
piece of it. Yeah,
exactly,
work together. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, the IA systems are definitely more specific. Not a lot of companies do them. I think only like 3 or 4 of them might.
So without getting like technical and crazy words and stuff, when we say IA system, is there like a simplified way? Explain it to me like I'm 5. Like what is an IA system?
So it's pretty much like a nitrogen system. It's like this tank. It gets plugged into like your electrical panel. It pretty much like filters all the water that comes in, and then puts the clean water into like a cesspool.
It replaces your cesspool of your septic tank.
Yeah.
Like it does the job of collecting the poop water.
You
the
technically
dookie
still
goes
have
into
like
the
a
IA
cesspool.
system.
It still is like a cesspool, but your tank now has like a filtration system inside of it that cleans the water and then shoots the water out to the cesspool, so it goes into the ground.
So it pretty much
completely
treats the sewage before it goes to the cesspool.
Exactly.
It's an in-home sewage treatment plant.
It's on your front property still.
Yeah,
It's
in
actually,
the ground.
Yeah, it's on the
ground. It's those
still.
3 lids where if somebody was looking at a house, you'll see the 3 lids, and then there's like an alarm box, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So you guys install those, and
I don't do those. No.
Oh, okay. That's a whole own thing. I feel like, right?
Those are all you need to.
That's theirs. Like an IA system guy, like it's almost an environmental contractor at that
Pretty
point.
much, yeah. They deliver the tank for you. You have to get a licensed plumber there as well, an electrician there to hook everything up.
Yeah, it's a total
inspectors.
thing.
It's like a whole nother thing. Right now, I think there's only 2 or 3 main companies on the island that do it.
Yeah. And now you say there's a cesspool in there. Is there a cesspool that needs to be serviced, or is that all part? Like if you have an IA system.
So if you have an IA system, the person that installs is supposed to give you like a 1-year service plan on it.
And there's probably their sticker on the. Yeah, just call that guy.
They're most likely going to stick with the person that had it done, unless the house gets sold or they change owners or whatever. Then they might want to find their own person.
Yeah.
But typically the person that installed it is going to be the one main.
Yeah, they know the system the best. Exactly, so an IA system is where are we typically going to see that? Waterfront or wetlands?
So they're really forcing it on houses that are on the water if they have a high water table, and if they're doing like brand new construction, like from the ground up, they're making us put those in now as well.
Yeah, because there's in the sewage that goes into the cesspool.
Yeah.
There's high nitrogen levels.
They just want to make sure everything, like you said, they want to make sure the groundwater stays clean.
Yeah, it's all about the bay, the brown tide, the groundwater, because I heard this stat, and it could be totally false, but I kind of believe it. Suffolk County's got to be like 60 or 70% cesspool septic tank, right? It's a pretty high number.
Yeah, so pretty much all North Shore is, all cesspools, all septic tanks. South Shore is as well, and some rare spots. South of the Southern State, Nassau County is all sewers.
Yeah.
North Shore, Nassau is cesspools as well.
Yeah.
You might get the little, areas in between.
Yeah, Huntington has like their own little sewage treatment.
If you're near like a school or some big type things like that, Main Street, near like Patchogue, things like that, you might be lucky enough where you're connected to the sewer.
Yeah, we're sewers over here.
Yeah, this is sewers.
And then you go 8 minutes that way, and they're on cesspools. Great River refuses. They absolutely refuse to rip up the roads to do sewers.
Yeah, because honestly, I actually did a house in Great River, and the lady was saying why they did like a survey of, we want to switch over to sewers. They have to have a certain amount of people agree. And obviously, all the people that lived in that area, they said no, because they were worried about, on a holiday, if one of the pumps go down in the sewer plant and they're backing up, what are they going to do? So all they were saying that the pumps that they wanted to put in weren't big enough or strong enough to handle all the houses.
I'll tell you what, man.
We'll take the risk. We'll stay on cesspools and we'll leave it as that.
You made me change my mind, because I worked for a short stint. I did some building maintenance with with Suffolk County Department of Public Works, and there was sanitation guys there, and the sanitation guys take care of the sewage pumps. And the pump is because the sewer drains work off gravity.
Yep.
They fill up, and then they have to repump it up higher so it keeps flowing. Right. That's essentially the idea.
Yeah, exactly.
So there is in random areas of sewer areas, like in this area, there's sewers. There's a pump station somewhere to keep the poop flowing.
Yep.
When that thing stops, it can back up. And there was sanitation guys used to tell me there was a house that lived. There was the first house before or after, whichever's the bad spot, next to the pump station.
Okay.
That the pump would always fail. It was like a bad pump. The county didn't want to replace it. And twice,
and his house was
this
the first
guy's
one.
house filled up with sewage.
Yep.
The whole basement filled up with sewage. And one, he said, was like the week of Christmas. And he was the response guy. So he came back the second time. And he was like, I never felt more like somebody was going to shoot me. And he's like, I didn't back the thing up. But he's like, so that's a real risk of the sewers.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, cesspools and the sewers, they both have their pros and cons.
Yeah.
Sewers, you have to pay sewer tax every month or whatever it is.
Yeah,
you pay
I think it's
taxes.
quarterly. We pay quarterly.
Every quarterly. So if you're not pumping your cesspool every year or every 2 years, it might cost you cheaper owning a cesspool compared to paying sewer tax every once in a while.
So a good thing to get into. What is your regular family, 4 people living in the house, 3-bedroom house, right? What's your regular scheduled maintenance for a normal cesspool or septic system?
So if you have the original cesspools, your house built before like 1975, you're gonna have the old cinder block pools.
Yeah.
Most likely those 4 or 5 people living in the house, you're gonna have to get a service between 1 to 3 years on the average.
Okay.
If you have a newer system with a septic tank and a cesspool, you want to clean that tank out every 3 to 5 years.
Okay.
Because that tank just gets all the solid waste.
Yeah.
That stuff gets so thick that it might block the line leaving the house or going to the cesspool.
So you still have time, though. It's not an every year or every other year maintenance thing.
No, I mean, if you're doing it every year, it's time to replace your system. But some people, you can't afford it, which is fine. So they get it pumped every year and they maintain it that way.
And realistically, you're going there to pump like a septic tank. And we can step back in a minute and talk what a septic tank is. But you're going there to pump out the solid waste that's in there. If I call you back next year and there's not that much solid waste in there, and I hire a good guy, you're going to be like, you can probably wait a few years to call me again.
I always tell them before I leave, if you're going to have a septic tank and you want to do it every year, if you want to feel safe, then go for it.
Yeah.
But you're not really going to accumulate enough waste once a year unless you have 10 people living in the house, which is
and
possible.
a lot of big boys in that house.
But you're gonna want probably
my family house growing up, my brothers are 6'3".
Okay.
And my mom worked at Costco, and she had a Costco haul every day. We went through gallons of milk a week, so that cesspool would have been obliterated. Thank God we're on sewers. But that was a good point what you bring up with the sewer tax. I pay to be connected to the Suffolk County Sewer Authority, and I use that as kind of like a little shtick when I'm doing a home inspection, because people have animosity towards things like oil, have animosity towards sewers and cesspools, especially people who never had them. Like I said, I've had sewers my whole life, and I learned getting into this business about cesspools. So people who want to buy in a certain area, they have no choice to have a cesspool or a septic tank. So if you want to live here, you got to swallow this pill.
Exactly.
So on top of, neglecting it and ignoring it and pretending it's not there is the worst thing to do, right? But on top of that,
happens a lot.
more than people like to admit. I pay, I think it's $50 a quarter for sewers. That's $200 a year.
Yeah.
If I put that $200 a year aside into my cesspool fund, if I had a cesspool, and I put that money into cesspool maintenance every 3 years, I'd be a very, very happy and very successful homeowner, right? Like so it's like what I say to the homeowners is like the buyers, like, you thought you were getting sewers. Sewers would cost you $200 a year. Yeah. Put that $200 a year into the cesspool, and you will be just as happy as if you had.
You probably make some extra. You
probably
have some
save
extra
money. Yeah, there's no way
you're
spending $200 a year on if they inherit a normal system. If they inherit a bad system, they're going to pay to replace it.
Exactly. Yeah.
But all right, so we've said words like cesspool and septic tank. Like, again, explain to me like I'm four. What's a septic tank? What's a cesspool?
So a septic tank is pretty much a concrete coffin box. It has a concrete bottom, concrete walls, everything. It's completely solid. It takes everything that goes from the house, it goes directly to the septic tank first. The sludge, the water, everything. It contains the sludge inside that septic tank, and then when that tank fills up, all the water only goes over to the cesspool. And the difference on the cesspool is open on the bottom and open on the sides, and it drains into the earth. Yeah. So people that live by the sand, have better drainage than someone that's living up North Shore where it's all rocks and clay. So it's another difference between the cesspools. If they're lasting longer or if they're not lasting as long, it really comes down to the ground. Yeah. So sandy soil is better for the cesspool because it just flows better. Sand is perfect for cesspools. It drains in all the water. I go into Fire Island, and they have, like, Ocean Beach has sewers, but like Fair Harbor, Kismet, they have cesspools there, and they're all block cesspools, and they're all exposed. Yeah. Like, I could see the waistline going into a block foundation, and I'm always terrified of it because I'm like, this thing looks. But they don't back up because it's just going into sand. It's just. And then people don't really live in there full time. They might live there 2 months out of the year. It's more water flowing through it than anyways for showers and stuff. And it just completely drains into the earth because that sand is so. I don't even know why, but sand is really good for drainage. Yeah, it's just some scientists understand why, but we just know sand good. I just know it works. Yeah, sand works. Yeah, but up on the North Shore, you do get like clay and different. Clay and rock. Yeah, horrible. That will cause you to need to get it pumped more, or will that actually shorten the lifespan of the system? Or because you have to pump it more, if you don't, it'll shorten the lifespan. Exactly. So both. If it's not draining as well, you're going to fill it faster, which means you have to call us quicker to come pump it out and service it. But also, the more and more you service the cesspool in the same area over and over again, the ground gets so saturated even more that it's not going to drain as well either anymore. Yeah. So it's going to kill the life of the cesspool, and it's also going to cost you more money because you have to pump it out so often. Yeah. But like you said, if you want to live over there, you don't really have a choice. You got to deal with it. Yeah. So really, that just drives home if you're living in one of these areas where it's more susceptible. It's like if you live by the beach. You're going to lose shingles on your roof because you're getting hit with hard wind. You got to deal with it. So instead of ignoring it, let's be proactive and get ahead of it. Get ahead of it, yep. So just one more thing. So we have septic tanks, we have cesspools. Not every house with a cesspool has a septic tank. Correct. But every septic tank has an overflow cesspool. Yeah. So the cesspool is, when we say a concrete ring, it's a bucket with holes in it. Concrete bucket with holes in it. Exactly, yeah. The septic tank is a solid bucket that at a certain point water drains out. Just to the cesspool. It doesn't drain out of that actual tank. It just goes over to the cesspool. Into the cesspool, which then through its holes leaches out and through the ground. Okay. Exactly. So when I go to an inspection and I see in the front yard where the main line's coming out, I see a sewer cap in the grass. That's an indication of a septic tank? Most likely that's going to be a septic tank. Yeah, the cesspools are usually underneath the ground unless somebody in the future raised that collar or something. And they wanted to see it. Usually when we do raise up the covers, the customers like to be a little below the grass because they want to be able to grow grass. Yeah, they don't want to see it. So they won't believe them all the way up to the grade. So that's when you go around and you poke around for it. Exactly. Or if it's a customer, But the newer style houses. Do you put like a garden gnome over it or something? Honestly, a lot of people use like bird feeders or like one of those water things. Something discreet to be like, that's where. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great. You can mow around it. It's great when we pull up to the house and they have that. They're like, oh yeah, it's right on the bird feeder. Perfect. So you have to poke around for it because it's concrete. There's no you can't metal detect concrete. So the new ones you can because they have rebar in them.
Okay.
So we have a metal detector that
nice.
sometimes will pick that up.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's picking up my boots or it's picking up,
Not
garbage
perfect.
in the ground.
Yeah.
So the bar is really bulletproof. Once you hit the bar into the ground, you hit it, you know that's where it is.
You ever hit anything you didn't want to hit?
Sprinkler lines.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sprinkler lines is pretty much a 50-50 shot that we are going to hit them
When
if
I
the
was a
customers
kid,
don't know where they
my
are.
first labor job was I worked for our local party rental guy. I still use him to this day. He's a great dude. And we would drive the stakes in for the tents into the ground. And nobody told me to watch out for sprinklers. I was 15, so I must have nailed 8 that summer.
It's just part of the business, unfortunately.
Yeah. Sprinkler lines.
They're easy. We carry some stuff in the van. Yeah, we carry the stuff
Exactly.
in the van. If we don't know we hit them and the customer calls us back, we'll go there and fix it.
Workplace hazard. It just is
exactly.
what it is. So you were talking about drainage around a cesspool, and I feel like I hear the term. Is it a leach field? Is that a thing? What is a leach field?
A leach field is not really commonly used on Long Island.
Okay.
We don't have enough land for it on people's houses. So a leach field is pretty much big black piping that will go into your 100, 200 feet long, depending on how much property you have.
Yeah.
And they will go to a tank as well. They'll have a tank. The water will fill up. Instead of going to a cesspool, it would just go to those leach tubes and just go out in your property.
Okay. So instead of going down, we're going spread out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It just goes into a whole.
In a situation, let's say we had 20 acres, would you go with a leach field over?
Upstate New York will has them.
What's better about them? Do you know?
Probably more.
We don't deal with
capacity.
Them. So when people talk
drainage.
So then, all right. So another term, aerating. Is that something we do here? Because I feel like that's a term here. What's the point of that?
So when we service a cesspool, we pump it down, then we aerate it, and then we put chemicals in it.
You aerate the cesspool.
Yeah.
To give the bacteria in there oxygen. Is that what that is?
No. So pretty much it restores the drainage at the bottom of the pool.
Oh.
So it gets filled up because the ground gets all caked up. It gets solid, gets rocky, whatever it is.
Because the bottom of the cesspool is open.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a film of sludge over it.
Pretty
you
much.
blast it with air to clean. You're power washing the bottom with air.
We break holes all the way into the earth.
So aerating like we aerate the lawn.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. We make
makes sense. So
as many deep as holes as we can. So when the water goes back into the cesspool, the water goes into those holes and it restores and it just drains back better into the earth better.
Oh, cool.
And then we put the chemical in there.
You use air compressor to do that?
No, the truck actually has an air compressor in it, so you could.
I'm saying the truck's air compressor, it blasts hole using air into the
we use
bottom.
like a big long 2-inch PVC line,
That's it.
16 feet long, whatever it is, and just
blast it.
make as many holes as we can.
Yeah.
That's why I always recommend to dig open the full covers on them because you could aerate the bottom of it more and make more drainage.
More opening, yeah.
More drainage is better
for everything.
How long you're going to last.
All right, cool. So we can get our septic tanks and our cesspools pumped.
Yep.
You can aerate the bottom. Is there other what is other typical maintenance you do with a cesspool?
So we put chemical in them as well, which is sulfuric acid, goes down to the sand as well, and dries up that sand. So because the sand gets all wet from holding so much water in there, it dries up that sand and just makes some more drainage for the water to go into the earth better.
Yeah. So the aerate and the sulfur, is that something you would do on every maintenance, or certain houses you will and certain houses you won't?
I would aerate and chemical and pump every cesspool. And sometimes customers don't want the chemical because they think it's gonna,
they don't like it for
the
their
concrete.
reasons.
Yeah.
They saw a Facebook video of
Pretty much. Yeah.
It's that's the government's tracking them through the sulfuric acid.
Exactly.
And shit.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Exactly.
somebody said it.
Exactly. So we let them, that's their choice, but we have to let them know, listen, if it fills up faster because we didn't do the service that you want us to provide, it's not our fault.
Yeah, it's always, sometimes it's best when you offer it to them and they say no. Like even on with reports, I put in get your cesspool or your sewer checked, and if they deny it, if I offer and they deny it, I'll say that it was recommended to them and they said no. So it's like
nowadays you always have to cover yourself because people out there, you never know what you never know when something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So just make sure everything's said out loud to them. They tell you what they want. If they don't want it, just let them know. Write it down that they decided not to go that route.
Yep.
And we did what they wanted us to do.
Yeah.
But as far as other maintenance goes, if you have a septic tank, something called baker's yeast, just regular baking, yeast that most people already have in their kitchen.
Yeah.
If they're baking cakes, things like that, comes in packets. You flush it down the tub water every couple months. It'll help to eat the bacteria inside the cesspool.
So that's treating the bacteria as the yeast.
Only for septic tanks.
Do we want bacteria in there or we don't?
Yeah, it will eat the waste.
It eats the waste, right? Okay.
Yeah,
that's what I had thought, but what do I know?
The baking yeast will actually form the bacteria in there actually eat the waste.
Yeah.
But it won't help you from not filling up.
Of course.
If you start flushing that stuff down, you're never gonna have to pump your cesspool.
Yeah, it's just a little thing you can do to make things go a little better.
Exactly, 100%.
All right, so that's something that a homeowner can do every now and then, but also too. So we have the actual tank. But a big issue we run into at home inspections is the line between the end of our foundation and the tank. And is that something we run into a ton of problems with, or?
Yeah, I mean, most of these houses on Long Island, they're built in the 60s, 50s.
Yeah.
So a lot of them have the Orangeburg waistline, which is just rolled up tar paper.
That's crazy.
It's either what all they had back then, or it's just made it cheaper to build the houses.
Way cheaper to do it, yeah. Bunch of paper.
Yeah, those things are really not good. The roots go through them. They become bellies. They just, all over the place. When you give inspections, we see them. A lot of the houses in the 50s and 60s will have that.
Yeah.
So we'll see it, and we'll have to recommend them. Either the line's no good, it's holding water in this place, or it's completely broken, or has roots in it, and the water's not going to flow from the house to the cesspool.
Yeah.
Or and it might at that time, but they might buy the house a couple months later. They're flushing wipes or 2-ply toilet paper.
They start living in it.
Yeah.
And then that's the problems show up. So it's always like, we go inspect a house. They didn't want a cesspool inspection. I'll give the spiel. Like, there's so many problems that could go wrong. And then the single old lady who lives by herself is like, I've never had a problem. It's like, okay, this guy's gonna go move in his 3 kids. The kid's gonna flush a toy truck down there, and like that's when it becomes a problem. And that's where the contractor's able to kind of bang them over the head because they came in to snake something, and as they're doing it, they're noticing that this line is shot. And now I'm able to bang them for 10 times as much as I probably would have if they called preventatively.
Yep.
So with the lines though, it's like, it's important to say, like, you can have a problem with your waistline and it's just not exposing itself right now. But at some point, like,
eventually
you've sewer scoped, you've done the sewer cameras for us where you've found a destroyed line and a blocked cesspool.
Yeah.
And it's just fate had it where nothing failed yet.
At that time, yeah.
And now a word from our sponsor, the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund. This foundation is focused on providing alternative career paths for young people other than just college. If you want to learn more about what they got going on and some updates, you can check them out at lookwhomadeit.org. Now back to the show.
So that's probably right. Everything's working at this moment or at this time because, like you said, a full family moves in compared to someone that was living there one person. They don't know how much usage it's actually getting.
Yeah. Do you get any warning signs with these things failing, really, or?
If you keep getting clogs every like month, every 3 months, or every 6 months, things like that. The more clogs you get, more odds are there's something wrong with the line and not what's going on in the house.
Oh, okay.
So if you're getting a lot of clogs, you have to keep snaking it out. Then we do a camera. If we go to a house a few times, twice. Usually if it happens twice in the same year, we know there's something wrong going on to it. We'll run a camera through it. We pinpoint why this is actually happening. We tell them why it's happening. If they want to fix it, we'll fix it. If they want to keep snaking it every twice a year,
that's on them. Yeah, you let them know, and that's it.
But it happens, unfortunately, more often than people would like.
Yeah. Well, I think that's really it. Is most people don't realize these problems exist until they start to show themselves, and then it's like, it's so funny because I know the clients or the clients' parents who have lived through an obnoxious cesspool scenario, and they're like, there's no hesitation in getting a cesspool inspected. They're like, you need to, or they're very pessimistic where it's like, if you're not getting inspected, plan for the worst and plan to drop a bunch of money because it's a system that you could turn your central air off and never turn it on again. We got to use our cesspool. The power goes out. I'm still going to the bathroom. We have to use our cesspool. There's so many of them on Long Island, and it's the most ignored thing, and it's crazy.
To be completely honest with you, the reason it's completely ignored is no one wants to put money to their shit.
Yeah, that's true.
It's underneath the ground. It's not making your house look nicer.
There's no fun in putting money in a cesspool.
You're not putting new, siding on your house. You're not doing a new driveway. You're not making your house look any nicer.
Yeah.
You're just making your house run smoother.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what you're doing.
Yeah, until their basement fills up with poop or something.
Then they're like, they need it right then and there. But honestly, having an updated septic system is a good selling point.
Yeah.
Because if you do plan on selling the house, you have an updated septic system, the person that's buying the house doesn't have to worry about all the problems that you just went through. So you could charge a little more for the house.
I'm gonna blow up people's spots, but do you keep records of the houses you service?
Yeah.
So because this is a thing where sellers are like, I had it serviced last year, so you're lying, but. If you serviced my cesspool and I was selling my house, you'd have a record because nobody keeps the receipt.
I would, yeah.
So you do. I'm saying the homeowner doesn't. Yeah. So
I would have the record.
Yeah, that'd be so. As a seller, if I know I've done it, because so many people don't take good care of their cesspool. If you're selling your house and you have done a good job taking care of your cesspool, get all the receipts for your pump jobs because that would be like.
It's true because we go to houses that were just sold and like, oh yeah, the homeowner just told me they got it done. They just got. I was like, do you have a receipt? Like, can I see it? No, they didn't have the receipt. I'm good. So then I right then and there, not that I'm calling them a liar, but I'll tell them,
You got to prove
it. It probably didn't get serviced.
I do that with old boilers. I do that with old system where it's like these things need to be serviced as they get older. They're more delicate. Yeah. Inquire with the seller. If they don't have proof of maintenance in the past year,
then just assume
call
it
a plumber. Assume it hasn't been taken care of, and call a plumber because it's going to need to be taken care of.
Because odds are it hasn't. Because when you're buying a house or selling a house, when people bring up cesspools, either the seller or the buyer, they get a little scared sometimes.
Yeah.
So the seller will be like, oh yeah, I got it done. Just to kind of try to brush it off and make the buyer think about, we don't worry about it anymore.
But if you provide proof with it too, it's just like it's
bulletproof.
As advice for people selling is like the more things we could take the pressure off of. Look, I have proof. This is the company who serviced it. Call him when you move in. Mike's a great guy. Exactly, and then we just move on to the next thing. But my favorite, like I said, growing up over here on cesspools wasn't something on sewers. Cesspools wasn't something I was super familiar with. So one of my earlier inspections, I did one local to here that had a cesspool, and I knew because I was less knowledgeable on it. I heavily recommend it. I was like, listen, there's no way to know unless somebody else looks at it. And I'm not a cesspool inspector. And the guy overheard us, and he was a nosy homeowner, and he was like, I've been here 15 years, and I've never had it pumped. And this was so amazing, because as he's telling us that, I go walk around the outside, water was dumping out of the fresh air vent. I was like, oh, God, thank you so much.
That's why you haven't got it serviced.
Dude, it's just going, he never needed to, yeah. So I'm like, I couldn't have asked for it to be better, because he literally just said it, and I walked away, and it was pouring. And that's like, it's such a good visual thing. Seeing the cesspool back up is so funny. Like sewers back up, cesspool back up. I love being like, I show them like, look, you see that?
Because you're not
get it taken care of.
If it's ever happened to you, you're not gonna know what the hell's going on. You're gonna be like, what's going on? You're gonna call this guy, that guy, that guy. You're gonna get charged by 3 different guys. Between the one guy that actually plumber. Most of them call plumbers first, but then they get charged, and the plumber can't help them.
Yeah, or they go off Google and they call a company, and like they get like some of these guys that show up, they hammer them.
Yeah,
hammer them
because
for
they see they're
things.
having a problem. They're having a backup, so they know they.
It's like the middle of the day. It's the mom's home with the kids. And they're like, it's $1,000 for him to even come to the house. It's like, oh my God.
But when the shit's flowing out of your house, sometimes
well, that was it with Chimbo. Me and Chris were on, my guy Chimbo and Chris Chimeri, my inspector. We were on a job. His cesspool backs up. His wife just called a number. The guy's running up numbers. He's like, it was a nuts number just to do nothing. Yeah. And Chris was on the job, and he was like, dude, what's our cesspool guy's name? Like, can he just go over there? And I was like, yeah, he's gonna take care of it. He sings your praises to this day. He's like, Mike was so honest, did the right thing. Like,
appreciate that.
And I do like, there was another home inspector here. I'm like, you need to meet Mike Vissicchio. Like, he is I'd say this, you're a cesspool tradesman. And I've yet to meet other guys like you. I'm sure there are, but I've yet to meet them. You're also a young guy. I love supporting young business owners. People like it too. Our older generation loves to shit on us, but they also love to support. They see you out there getting it. They do like to kind of help us out.
The younger people are not doing much.
Yeah. We're lazy. Meanwhile, you're out here running a fucking cesspool company. Like, that is the exact opposite of. We were just talking about how you just tried to stop taking jobs on Sundays. Meanwhile, it's like taking jobs on a Sunday is like, as a business owner, you think that's the first thing you're going to do, and it's
sometimes it is a tough business. Sometimes it is 24/7. You'll be getting phone calls at 2 o'clock in the morning, and you have to be there for them sometimes. So.
When is that emergency? Because I think we're running out of time, so we'll wrap up quick. And I want people to know when to call you. Because obviously, when they buy a house, they should call you. But if they're living in a house, how do I know it's time to call like a cesspool guy? Like, what is the emergency?
So, the emergency is, obviously, if you have a basement bathroom or something, you'll just, shit will be flowing everywhere.
Yeah. So it's back. That's when the cesspool backs up.
That's when it's backed
up. Poop water
up.
Backs up into the house.
Yeah, I would recommend calling if you're getting, your toilet will start gurgling a little bit. It won't flush, as strong as it usually does.
Yeah, it's a bad sound.
Or by your waistline.
Yep. Like, that's, you've been here a few times. I'm like, here we go.
You don't want that sound. Yeah. Also, by your waistline or by your closest bathroom to like where your cesspool generally is, you might get a smell, like an odor. That means it's probably getting close to being full because all the smell comes back into the house instead of flowing out. And that's pretty much it. Once the water,
if they know where the fresh air vent is and they see water coming out of the fresh air vent too, there's another chance that's going on.
Then you wait a little too long.
That's when you know it's bad.
It's backing up. Some houses are all set up differently. Some will come out the air vent. Some will come downstairs.
Yeah,
some
if there's a basement bathroom, it'll come out of there.
It's all random to their house setup, but definitely call. Your toilets aren't flushing as strong as they usually are. If you're getting an odor of like a crap smell somewhere around your house, better be safe than sorry.
And also too, I think people who should call are people who haven't. If you've been in your house 5 years, you have a septic tank or a cesspool, and you've never called a cesspool guy, like that is just such a layup. Just have them. Like, you're an honest dude. You're not going to come there and beat them up. You want the client for life. We're trying to build a book of business. Like you're going to do the right thing. You're going to prove everything you see. Like, you know, everything with you is, I could show you it. Like, your cesspool's full. I got to pump it out, right? Like,
you know, it's right in front of you. And there's not really I could hide.
There's nothing to hide, yeah. When you do a sewers camera, like, I can show you the
You're
camera.
on the
This
screen.
is, yeah, it's it.
Look,
So
I usually tell them to come look on the screen as I'm doing it. So
100%.
I don't want to finish and then tell them all this thing. It's like, oh, you know, who knows what he was, you know,
it's easy
whatever.
to see. It's basic stuff. It's the, you know, a clean line looks clean, and a bad line, when there's tree roots in it, it ain't good. Like,
you're gonna see, you're gonna see the roots going.
And when the cesspool's full, like full cesspools are such a crazy thing to me. It's like they're like, that's it. I'm like, you see that floating in there? Yeah, that's it. Like, and that one kind of sends it home. So it's like, if you haven't serviced your cesspool, just give Mike a call. But why don't you plug yourself real quick? Give him the info, your number, your Instagram, whatever you want, man.
Yeah, so my name is Mike, as you just went over. My company is Strong Island Cesspools and Drain. We're based out of Suffolk County. We cover all of Suffolk County. Phone number is 631-873-6550. If you want to go on the website, check me out. We're 5 stars all around. It's www.strongislandcespool.com. And yeah, give me a call or text at that number, and I'll be happy to help you guys.
Awesome, dude.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike. You're the man.
Joe, thank you.
If you have not gotten your cesspool service in a long time, call Mike right now. But I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you, guys. Stay knowledgeable.